You talked about pick and shovel, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's probably what a lot of people think about what we're doing here. We got a donkey and a cart and a pick and a shovel, and that's what we do, And it's not like that at all. It's very, very technical. There's a lot of computerized stuff here. And you mentioned AI. We're starting to get into that, and we've seen that help us out. I was just on a call before we came in here about robotic dogs. You've seen the robotic dogs. Yeah. We're exploring using that technology to do some equipment inspections and things. That pretty neat stuff is available, and we're on the cutting edge of a lot of that technology.
Without further ado, please help us welcome Mike and Chrissy to the face.
Warning, explicit content. This material may not be suitable for children. Listener discretion is advised.
Comes free, you gotta find a way. Gotta be willing to go put in some elbow grease, cause you know nothing that you get in this life comes free. You gotta work.
Hello, miners. Hello, podcast listeners. Welcome into Mining Minds. Welcome into this episode. We're sitting here at U.S. Steel Minntac, hanging out with my man Dino Brunson.
Yo.
We have the privilege and opportunity to hang out with two awesome individuals we're just getting to know. We're going to get to know a little bit better. But is Mike Bakk. He's the Director of Facilities Excellence here. Welcome in, Mike, and thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. Thank you for taking the quick call.
Yeah, that's right. He got thrown under the bus.
Voluntold like you're the guy.
That's right. And then we have the opportunity to hang out with Crissy, and I'm going to get this right, Bartovich.
Nice.
Yes.
A plus.
Yes.
I practiced it for like 5 minutes, guys. For you guys out there listening.
You don't get any pellets for that, man. Trust me.
But she is the Senior Director for Environmental here. So excited to talk to you guys. We got a tour. I got the opportunity to tour the facility today, meet some individuals, check out. Dino actually got to set off a blast. So really cool what you guys have going here. And we'll dive into that, I'm sure, as we go through. But, Mike, I want to start with you a little bit. Maybe walk us through who little Mike was, what'd you do when you were a kid and growing up.
All right. Well, I grew up in a little town called Cook, Minnesota, which is about a half hour or so north of here at Minntac. And I knew absolutely nothing about mining. I didn't even know there were mines here. And so I was preparing to go to college, and I was going to be a mechanical engineer. Well, the summer before my senior year, I'm working as a dock boy on Lake Vermilion, and I'm thinking, maybe I should try to do something a little more technical than putting gas in boats and that sort of thing. So I asked my dad, I'm like, geez, I wonder if I should go work somewhere else. He says, yeah, why don't you call this guy right here? And he wrote down the name and a number of a guy. His name was Jim Swearingen. I had no idea who that was. Well, it turns out he was the general manager here.
Oh.
So I'm 18 years old, and I remember like it was yesterday. I'm sitting in the kitchen, grab the telephone, dial it up, and I'm like, hi, I'm Mike Bakk, and I'm going to Michigan Tech to be a mechanical engineer, and I want to work for your company. And
hey, direct.
Yeah. And oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, we can make that happen. So next thing you know, I'm starting here before I even went to college as a intern.
Really?
Wow. That is something you don't hear about out west.
No.
I mean, people have connections, but that was like mafia style right there.
Where did they? So I do want to get into to this a little bit more. But obviously you had some good character or good work qualities, or, you know what I mean? Something that somebody picked up the phone and said, absolutely. So what were those things? I mean, as a kid, I guess I'm going to ask you to brag a little bit here, Hollywood.
Well, it probably didn't hurt that my dad was in the state legislature.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha. Well, at the end of the day, your dad wouldn't have vouched for you either, though, if he didn't know that he instilled all those good values in you, right? To where, even if it's a last name or just the initial push to get you out there, you still had to be motivated. And if you're still here from 18, that says a lot.
Yeah. It says that those qualities wouldn't have, in the mining industry, you'll weed out pretty quick if you're not a good person, right? So
yeah, I think so. It's not easy. I mean, I was a busy kid, growing up. I was a sport athlete, on the honor roll, that sort of thing. Had summer jobs, mowing grass since I was probably 12 years old. So
nice.
I like working. I always had to work with dad. Tell my kids, if you had to grow up with grandpa as your dad, you probably would have died.
But I bet your grandpa's a little bit different with the kids than he was you, huh?
Extreme.
Well, that's probably built you who you are, though. Like Dino said, I'm going to echo that. It's probably made you who you are. Do you pass down any of those traits or any of those, lessons to your kids?
I need to do a better job, but I'll say this. They're both in every single sporting activity or camp, sort of volunteer, extra stuff they can do, whether it's football camp, extra weight training stuff, whatever. They love doing that.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before the podcast, and it sounds like you're super busy with the kids and their sports, and it sounds like you're how do you say, extremely busy, but dialed in with them as well.
Yeah, I like to coach them too. This is my first year not coaching. I coached baseball for 7 years and basketball for 5, and I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Once my younger one got into 7th grade, I'm like, I'm going to sit in the stands now and complain about the coaches instead of.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it's way better.
But when my oldest, she was coming up, I taught both my oldest and my youngest basketball, not soccer, but in basketball. And they came to me, or my oldest came to me one day and she said, "Dad, I don't want you to coach me this year." I'm like, okay, well, first, thanks for crushing me. But it was actually kind of nice to sit in the stands and, watch them be coached, because sooner or later, they've got to be coachable adults, right?
Yeah. So you played sports, you said, when you were younger. What was your favorite?
Boy, that's tough. And my kids do the same thing. I'm like, what's your favorite? It seems like the favorite is whatever season it is.
Sure.
But I would probably say track was my favorite, just because you're always going for that PR, and it's all dependent on you.
Sure.
So your hard work that you put in, it's going to be proportional to your output. So that's probably what I enjoyed the most.
And what'd you compete in track? What events did you do?
Well, the one I excelled the most at was throwing the discus.
Cool.
Also did 4x100 relay, and back then they had sprint medley relay, which they don't even do anymore. But and shot put. Discus was my go-to.
So you had to have a little bit of strength and a little bit of speed. So I'm surprised. Did you play hockey or football or anything like that?
Football.
Yeah.
Football and basketball.
Yeah. I was going to say, what'd you play in football?
I was the center.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I was going to say, you got some strength. I don't know if you were bigger back then. Not that you're a small guy now. That's not what I'm trying to say. But you gotta have strength to do shot put, to do disc. And then if you're running those events, you're on the move a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So what did you do after high school?
Yeah.
Well, so I went to Michigan Tech, and the summers in between years, I came back here as a summer student engineer intern. And then the last summer before I graduated, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to be one of those guys who never left the Iron Range, never experienced anything else, never worked anywhere else. So I went and worked in St. Paul for a company called North Star Steel, which was owned by the Cargill Corporation. Yeah. They had actually the electric arc furnace, a mini mill. Made construction rebar and round stock. So I went and worked on there, and it was a pretty big facility, about the size of our Keetac facility, like 400 employees.
Wow.
So I worked there for 3 months. The job was good. Hated living down there. I was just like everyone else down there on Friday in traffic, trying to get the heck north for the weekend so you could enjoy everything we have up here, right? The outdoors, all the recreational activities.
Yeah.
And then Sunday just dreading heading back down there. But I did it. Like I say, it was a great job. Cargill was a humongous corporation, so we got to get together as interns and learn what people were working on, not just within the steel mill. There were like people in like poultry processing and things that were very diverse from what I was used to, but it was fun. But then when I had the opportunity to come back here after my senior year of college, I jumped on it.
That's cool. So you kind of knew early on that you wanted to be up here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what made you go into Michigan Tech or the engineering side, right?
So I remember in school thinking, okay, what do I want to be? All right, maybe a pilot, maybe a lawyer, maybe a doctor. And those were kind of the ones I was thinking of. And I thought, geez, lawyer, they got to read a lot. I really don't like reading that much. And I'm like, pilot, I don't know. You're always gone. I mean, that might not be so great. And doctor, do I really want to go to school for that long? And then I had a teacher that said, hey, you really like math and science. Why not go into engineering? So I thought about it, and we were coming up on Christmas break, and I knew a kid that was a couple years older than me that was going to Michigan Tech at the time. He came back for Christmas break, and we were playing some basketball over break, and I asked him, I'm like, well, what's it like out there? You know, he didn't say a whole lot. He was not a man of many words. He basically said, it's good, it's hard, you know, fun. I'm like, okay. So I grabbed the course catalog, read through that, and I'm like, well, I guess mechanical engineering sounds really interesting. I mean, I've always been a person that likes to know how things work and take things apart. My dad, in addition to being in the legislature, before that, he was a carpenter. So we were always working with our hands, and we were in the woods and building things. I was always wrenching on snowmobiles and four-wheelers and that kind of stuff. So I was like knowing how things work. When I read what a mechanical engineer does and I read about the courses, I thought, yeah, that sounds like something that I would like to do.
Well, and you have the smarts to go with it, because I would like to be an engineer, but I'm just not smart enough. So.
Yeah, I just don't like math enough.
So in your schooling, because is that a big area that people go to school here? Is Michigan Tech?
We have quite a few people here now that went to Michigan Tech.
I was curious, and we've kind of, I don't think I've asked the question, but I've been talking to Dino, thinking about, we have a couple different mining institutions or tech schools. And I'm like, I wonder what they have here. And so Michigan Tech's one of them. Do you guys have any other ones that you know of?
Mining specific?
Yeah, or technical schools like that. I just don't know.
Well, we're getting a lot of people out of Minnesota, Duluth right now. And then, of course, you got South Dakota School of Mines isn't that far away.
Oh, I didn't think about that. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
That's the other one I was thinking about. So, no, that's...
And, I mean, we can't forget, as taconite miners here, the whole taconite process was developed by the University of Minnesota.
Sponsoring this episode of the podcast, our good business parts at Heavy Metal Equipment and Rentals. When the ground is tough and the clock is ticking, you need more than just equipment. You need a partner who lives and breathes heavy-duty performance. That's Heavy Metal Equipment and Rentals. From dozers and haul trucks to loaders and excavators, HME has the equipment to keep your operation charging forward. But it's not just about the iron, it's about the commitment to safety, reliability, and to getting the right machine at the right time. That's why they offer both short-term rentals for immediate jobs and long-term rentals to preserve capital and manage your budget. And if renting isn't the answer, they've got you covered with equipment sales, financing, fleet appraisals, and big job repair contracts. So when your project demands a partner, precision, and relentless support, contact the team at Heavy Metal Equipment and Rentals. Click the links on the episode notes and find out more. Well, you finally got out here to the mine site. I want to step back. You finally got out. What was your first role? What was your first job?
Well, after being an intern and coming back full-time, I was a management associate, which is basically like you're an entry-level person, and we hire MAs, we call them, really to you're looking at future vacancies, like maybe somebody's going to retire. It's a way to get someone in the door and kind of feel them out. Maybe you can give them experience around the facility. But I started here as a management associate in our central maintenance department. So I worked there as in that role. It's kind of like an entry-level engineer, right? They give me little projects to work on. Hey, design something to do this. We need a tool that'll do that. Do some research on some welding or some kind of steel that we were going to use to fabricate something. And then it was maybe, not even a year later, they asked me to be a shift manager, a maintenance shift manager.
Oh, cool.
Gave me a crew of welders and a few other people. We had blacksmiths back then.
Oh, cool.
Like, hey, here's a crew of people for you to supervise. And we worked on dippers, actually ran what our dipper shop is. So this is obviously a mining podcast, so everyone's going to know what a dipper is.
Sure. So
I did that.
So I guess what was it like to manage? Because at this point, prior to it, you weren't. And then I don't, for all my maintenance people out there, know I'm trying to hate on you. Maintenance is a different group. I don't care what anybody says. It's just it's a group within the mining groups, is what I'll say.
Well, I'd say how old were you when you started that role?
Well, I was probably 23.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And like pretty much everyone on my crew had almost 30 years working here.
Yeah, I thought that was going to be a pretty interesting answer on the age difference there. but you're coming in, you're educated. Everybody else that you're working with, they're educated too. They're just specific to their field, right? So how did that work for you?
Yeah, I was called college boy a few times, you know. I don't know. It wasn't too bad. It can be tough for some people, but if you know how to talk to people and, you know, you respect them, I never ever felt like I was better than anybody because I had, you know, a 4-year degree at an engineering school.
Right.
I could talk to anybody and just let people know what you need out of them. And I always wanted to learn from them. They were doing stuff that I didn't know how to do. So when they asked me to go be in charge of this group of people that were going to weld, I asked, well, can I go to some welding training and learn at least a little bit of what they do? So a company actually let me go to 2 weeks of welding school. So I'm far from an expert, but at least I could appreciate, like, it takes a long time to lay down a weld.
Yeah. You can throw a bead down, though. You can.
I could 20 some years ago. I could. I don't know about now.
Well, I'll tell you, that initiative though goes a long way with the employees. And out west, we don't have, it's not unionized. And, you know, I don't know if that's a caveat to this or not, but we're all people, right? And if you're going in there wanting to learn and they know, hey, dude, this guy went and took 2 weeks of, you know, welding training, and you're down visiting with them, not necessarily about breathing down their neck on the project. It's more about, hey, how'd you do this or how'd you do that? And then they're starting to get direction from you. It was probably fun to come to work.
Oh yeah. I've been here a long time, and I mean, not every day is great, but I've really enjoyed it. There's lots to learn. And back then, like I say, I just wanted to learn from them. I didn't know everything. So they probably appreciated that I was willing to ask questions. Why do you do it this way? And guys show me, they'd be, hey, come here, watch how we do this, you know. And it was a great experience. Well,
I think that's the other thing. It's, you know, for any new leaders out there, I will say, is take the time to learn, take the time to understand. It's hugely important. I know on both sides, right? I've been on the management side. I've been on the employee side. It's important when you get to share your part of the story. And then on the flip side, listening to other people's side of the story too. So good for you on that. Where did you go to next? I mean, how did you keep progressing or keep moving?
So I was in that role for a couple of years, and then U.S. Steel bought the assets of National Steel when National Steel went bankrupt. So that's when we acquired the Keetac facility, just about 35 miles west of here. So I was in my office one day, and my boss walked in, and he had an armload of papers under his arm, and there were pink envelopes and stuff. And I was wondering, oh boy, what's this all about? And I said, what's up, Ed? He said, do you want to do this here or in my office?
Oh boy.
And I'm thinking, oh, this can't be good. Cause like literally days before, they laid off a manager with 34 years and a manager with like 28 years. I'm thinking, I'm toast. I got 2 years in. And I'm like, let me have it. And he said, well, you're going to Keetac. And he gave a little chuckle and just walked out the door and let me sit there. I'm like, what's Keetac? And next thing you know, a week later, I was working at a new facility.
Wow. That almost reminds me of the movie Major League. Like the head coach walks in anyway. It's like, yeah, you're out of here. You're gone. It's like, what? So how did that affect where you live though?
You know, I lived right here, like literally less than 5 miles away from work. So I was pretty upset about that.
Yeah.
And I pouted about it for a while, but you know, I smart enough to know there were people with a lot of years of service that got let go. It's a tough time in the steel industry. Like I said, National Steel had just gone bankrupt, and I was nervous, but it wasn't that far. It's 30 some miles, not a big deal. So I kept my same house and just commuted over to Keetac and had a completely different role. I went from being in central maintenance to the concentrator building, which is in the plant. So you got processing equipment now. I was a little bit familiar with it because during my internship here at Minntac, I worked in the concentrator. So I had an idea anyway. You kind of take rock and you grind it and purify it. And ran a maintenance crew there, kind of did a hybrid manager / engineer role there. And then from there, a few years after, I was promoted up a level to what we call a maintenance coordinator, and did that job for a couple of years, and then was promoted up again to area manager in a totally different role. And I went to the mine maintenance group. So that was more on the mining side, the trucks and shovels, and included crushers, central maintenance. That sort of stuff.
So you got a blend at this point through the talk. You got a blend of a lot. I mean, pretty much everything on site.
pretty much.
And I do want, for our listening audience, this is something I learned about more this week. But maybe can you explain a concentrator for people out there that don't know what that is?
Sure. So basically what we do, I mean, like the taconite process is you dig taconite out of the ground, and it's only about 20% iron, and that's what we're after. So we crush it, and then it goes into a concentrator building, and we just continue to reduce the size by grinding. And then we use separation processes, and we pull the iron out. And it's really like as simple as using magnets and a lot of water. And then there's other stuff, there's hydroseparators and such, and chemical flotation. But so we're taking it from 20% iron, and we're trying to get it up to 65-ish% iron. And then we get rid of the waste material, the tailings. And from the concentrator, we pump it over to our pellet plant, where we take the water out of it and agglomerate it, roll it into these little balls, and then bake it in a furnace, essentially. We use great kiln cooler system. And then we turn them into those hard little taconite pellets that get shipped all over the world.
Yeah, and that was fascinating. And thank you for explaining that. But you guys that are listening, these are massive facilities. There is a ton of going on. So I'm going to step back, and two things I'll say is, one, when you're talking about maintenance and coordination, it's different because we're learning how the unions kind of work up here. You have specific people coming in for specific jobs at specific times. That's got to be a well-oiled machine in order for it to be effective. Is that a fair statement? Yeah.
So between both sites, we're like more than 600 maintenance employees.
Yeah.
So you can think they show up for work. We got to have stuff for them to do it, right? You can't just stand around and wait for something to break and then, I'm going to grab my toolbox and go fix at it. We would never make money that way. So there's quite a process, and that kind of is what my couple roles ago, what I did when I ran a reliability group.
Well, I'll tell you what, at the facility that we were in, that we had an opportunity to walk through today, the expertise inside of that area, I mean, you got to be experienced quite a bit to be able to work in there. I mean, whether it's pumps or, there's a lot of stuff to work on.
A lot of things going on at once, for sure. And we were having some long conversation, probably why we were late. But on how you manage that. And so I guess I wanted to highlight that. I think that people overlook those positions oftentimes, and it's like, these are critical positions for us to continue to move forward, be effective in what we're doing. So I thought that was pretty cool. Sponsoring this episode of the podcast, JSR Fleet Performance, supporting the people who keep mining moving. If you're a part of a training group or managing equipment operator development, you know it's not just about running gear, it's about running it right. JSR Fleet Performance works alongside training teams to extend the life of your fleet, reduce costly breakdowns, and make sure your operators understand how to get the most out of every machine. With customized training support, maintenance insights, and real-world in-field education, JSR helps surface operations boost reliability, safety, and productivity from the pit to the shop. So whether you're building the next generation of mining professionals, looking to audit what you currently have going on, or looking to help develop your workforce, brass in at Mining Minds LLC and bring JSR Fleet Performance into your corner. And maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit. Was it the pellets that you had an influence over? How they came out?
That was a couple jobs after the area manager.
Okay, so I'm ahead of myself. Yeah. Maybe just remind me when we get there, because I don't want to. So you're now in your new role. You're comfortable over there at this point. And how long did you stay there, and what would that look like?
Well, I'm about 6 years into the area manager role, and like you said, pretty comfortable, kind of know what to expect every day. And then our general manager called me into a meeting, and he's like, "Hey, we're going to start a new organization called Reliability Center Maintenance, and I want you to lead it." And I said, "Oh, okay, that sounds great. 6 years, I'm ready for a change." And that role was over both Minntac and Keetac. So we basically started from scratch. We grew this organization up. That was in 2014, and basically developed a group that had both reliability engineer types. So, you're looking at things like what sort of PMs do you have to do, and predictive maintenance technologies. We do a lot of that stuff here. And then also the big one, I talked about those 600 maintenance employees that show up every day. So the big one is the maintenance planning side, right? How do you actually put out a schedule, and how do you know what people are going to work on? You can use all the technology to determine, hey, this thing might be going bad over here. It's got a vibration or it's got a bad oil sample, but how do you schedule and coordinate all of that? So we laid out a maintenance planning organization, and we laid out all our processes for how are you going to do everything from identifying work to getting it done and then recording it so you have history of all your work. So worked on that for about 8 years or so until I went until that Keetac DR grade pellet project came about. And then I got another call, and it was like, hey, we want you involved in that project. Or what do you think? I'm like, yep, I'm ready to do something different. So I was involved in that upgrade project. That was really fun.
So can you talk to us a little bit about that project? What does DR stand for? Because I'm not, again, learning. And the upgrade or the project itself, maybe you can walk us through that.
Sure. So DR stands for direct reduced. So if you back up a little, the pellets we make are blast furnace grade pellets. So our pellets go into just your traditional integrated steelmaking process, right? They go into a blast furnace. You add coke, which is basically coal, to make iron.
Okay.
So as the industry is moving more towards electric arc furnaces, they really don't use a blast furnace grade pellet. So what we did at Keetac is installed the capability to make a direct reduced grade pellet. So what that means is essentially we upgrade it, we put more iron in it, and we take out the impurities, which for us is silica. Silica is a waste material in the blast furnace. It would make like slag.
Sure.
So what they do with the direct reduced pellet is you put it into a direct reduced iron or a hot briquetted iron furnace, and you reduce it and without melting it like you would in a blast furnace, and then you make like iron nuggets or briquettes, and those can get fed into an electric arc furnace.
That is cool. And I guess one thing I'll highlight and how I understand it is because of the changing environments out there, meaning technology changes, the way we do things change. It's a cutting edge process that you guys were able to be a part of. When you talk about being creative in the mining industry and having opportunities to build something that's going to last for the next 100 years, you got to be a huge part of that.
It was great. I can't even explain how much fun it was. I've had lots of jobs here and I've enjoyed every one, but just watching how hard everyone worked to make that happen and watching it come to fruition and our first train left on spec, it was super rewarding, and just to see like all the smiles on people's faces. I mean, it was great. And it meant a lot for the community because Keetac has been through a lot. There's been ups and downs. Like I said, National Steel went bankrupt in that 02, 03, and then we bought them, and there was like life back into the place. And then we had the total meltdown of the economy in 08. So Keetac shut down. Everyone was laid off for almost a year, and then we were back up, and it was pretty rough in like the 15 through 2020. And then all of a sudden, next thing you know, we're going to inject $150 million into this facility, and it's really about the future.
Yeah.
So it was so rewarding to be part of that project.
Well, what did it mean to the community? I mean, I just for the audience perspective, what I've learned this week is that not only the pride and the history run deep here. It sounds to me like through your story that maybe the public was kind of waiting in the back, waiting to see how this turned out and how successful it was going to be, because that meant new life.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, talk to people, you run into people on the city street and they're asking, how's the project going? How's the project going? They're always asking. When you tell them you were involved in it, they get really excited and ask a lot of questions. Like I say, Keewatin's a small town, and the whole Iron Range is relatively small, right? So these operations are massive. They're big economic machines, and they mean a lot. Well, and people have seen these places go down. Butler Taconite went down permanently. LTV went down permanently. So people know what it does to their region, and to see that kind of capital investment, it was a big deal.
Well, to me, everybody's involved, but I guess if I was in your seat it'd almost be like you're a professional baseball player. People are coming up because they know you're in the World Series, right? That's kind of how it feels to me.
Yeah. How are you ready for the big game? Are you ready? You know,
To where that's amazing that the public's paying that much attention. Because I don't know if that happens anywhere else.
Well, so two comments that I had was, and I think we've mentioned this a couple times since being here, is your guys' community are well educated on what's going on here. They're involved. They want to see the successes too. So that is super cool to see that pride, that passion just in the community. And then the second part of that is for those out there, young kids that are thinking about mining or need to learn about mining or want to learn more about mining, they're doing things like this on the regular. Now, some of them don't get across the board, right? But you have an opportunity to be a part of that future if you so choose to. And then you work for a company like you guys do that supports that. And in your case, this got across the line and it affects a lot of different things.
It does. And like I said, mining is everything here. So people around here know about it. They're pretty plugged into what's going on. They're asking lots of questions, but you don't have to get that far away from the Iron Range and people don't even know we still do this. Like I mentioned, I live 30 some miles from here and had no idea what happened here. And you get much farther than that and people are like, oh, mining? We still do that in this state?
Yeah. Oh, pick an axe.
So
yeah.
what does your dad think about that? Because I'm sure you have that discussion, right? Like he knows what you do. He helps set you up, get you here. But with where you're at in your career, how does he see that from his perspective?
Yeah, I mean, he's retired now, but he spent almost 30 years in St. Paul advocating for us up here. We were lucky at that time. We had a really strong delegation of our local legislators here, and they were really powerful and had large voices in St. Paul. And those few guys, they were great for us. So, I mean, we talk about it all the time still. I mean, he's retired, but you never get out of it, right? Once you're in politics, you're always kind of in it. So
yeah.
He gets involved a little bit, but yeah, we talk about it. It's important. Chrissy and I work to get our message out as much as we can. And that's kind of Kristen's job too. Chrissy and I go to local high schools and we talk about all the cool things we do here. And I mean, their kids are probably not that excited about the things we're saying, but we try to let them know, hey, if you want to do anything, we pretty much got a job here for you. If you want to be a firefighter, guess what? We have firefighters here. You want to be a welder? We got those jobs too, and everything in between.
Yep.
Just flying. You want to be a cop? We got a security guard.
That's right.
That's right.
They were flying drones today. I mean, there's so many different avenues. We discuss that quite a bit too. So I'm gonna gingerly walk this or try to say this, but so then you go back to work. Then what's your next role? Because you come off this super big high, and I'm not trying to deflate what you're gonna do next, but you come off this super cool project, and then what do you do?
Yeah. So. That's still kind of in development, really. I mean, I've only been in this new role called Director of Facilities Excellence for a few months.
Okay.
But basically, everything that I've been doing my whole career is about making things better. Whether it was a first job when you're just working with your crew of guys trying to figure out how can we make things better, to now for the whole facility, how can we work to make things better? And that's the focus, right? It's how do you, because you know what it's like in mining, right? Tomorrow is more expensive to mine than today. So we got to continue to get better. And so we have teams of process engineers and reliability engineers and a lot of folks that are really, really smart, thankfully. And we have all these projects and we have a heavy, heavy focus on continuous improvement.
Cool.
All make lots and lots of small improvements so we can be here for the next generation.
Yeah. And beyond with, the ore bodies that are sitting here for sure.
I'm excited to hear that. I guess we get to talk to a lot of different companies out there, and their focus isn't always necessarily on continuous improvement. And I've seen groups like yourself come back and really start to dive into that because they do realize it's important. We got to ask the questions. We got to look into AI is another one. We've had a lot of discussion around. What does this mean? We got to tour your dispatch center. I forgot what the
mine control.
Oh man, that is phenomenal.
Like NASA.
Yeah, it is awesome. I think. I mean, those are the types of things that it sounds like you will be able to work on with groups, right?
You talked about pick and shovel, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's probably what a lot of people think about what we're doing here. We got a donkey and a cart and a pick and a shovel, and that's what we do, And it's not like that at all. It's very, very technical. There's a lot of computerized stuff here. And you mentioned AI. We're starting to get into that, and we've seen that help us out. I was just on a call before we came in here about robotic dogs. Seen the robotic dog? We're exploring using that technology to do some equipment inspections and things. That pretty neat stuff is available, and we're on the cutting edge of a lot of that technology.
Well, that's exciting again because not everybody's out there doing that. So, and you guys have seen, hey, when you do put in the time and energy to these ideas, the results that can happen, right?
Yeah, we've seen some really good results with some of the stuff we're doing, and not everything's a home run.
Sure,
some things fail, but that's the best part about working for this company. As long as you're trying to make things better. If it doesn't work, so what?
Yep.
Move on to the next project and try and make the next thing better.
It's kind of mining. You kind of sit there and we always say, we're miners, we'll figure it out. And now you're just integrating new technologies, new ideas, new concepts. And it's super awesome to hear what you guys are doing in that aspect. Usually we save this towards the end, but then it fits right now. What's the future miner look like? What's the future mining industry look like with all this we're talking about?
I think it just continues to be more demanding, more technical. You look at just a decent mechanic, right? They don't just have sockets and impact wrenches anymore. They have to have a laptop, right? They work with an engineer and they're watching a truck operate and they're looking at different pressures and stuff remotely while the thing's operating. So it's just going to continue to get more technical as the future comes.
As more technologies evolve, for sure. Yeah. I'm going to bounce right now over to Chrissy. You didn't jump in at all. You could have asked questions. You could have told us why they called them Hollywood. You could have done any of that. You didn't.
I don't know if I know that story.
I don't either.
But I'm definitely going to ask after.
Yeah, we got some explaining to do.
Yeah. Kristen's over here, so we're just we'll table that. But now that's your new nickname, apparently.
Chrissy will tell you about my awesome dad jokes.
Oh my gosh.
I told one yesterday to a career panel, and it just totally flopped. And I still think it is the best one I've ever.
Let's hear it.
Okay, all right, you tell it, and then when I need to explain it,
the problem is I'll leave you hanging at the end, and most people don't get it, so then it's not funny. But all right, how do you tell a boy ant from a girl ant? You throw it in the water, and if it sinks, it's a girl ant.
I don't know that I'm smart enough to get it.
Boy ant.
Oh.
When you have to drag people along, it's not as fun.
Yeah, that's an engineering joke too. It's a fair statement. You got to be in the right room, know your audience type thing. Yeah.
This is when I drop the mic.
Every time we go to the career classroom, Mike walks in with a different dad joke, so he's got a new one prepped and ready.
Listen, I love them, man. I did. I was. My mind went somewhere else, so I won't say where that went. But
you didn't even understand that right there. You looked at me with fear in your eyes.
Well, I'm like, did he get it? Is he smarter than me?
Well, as soon as he said the firt part of the joke, we're in this room, and I told the HR person, like, cover your ears. I don't know where this is going.
That's right. So, well, keep a couple more in the bag, and maybe we'll do a segment where you just come on each week and throw us one, and we can use them.
If dad jokes from Minnesota.
Well, Dino's been throwing out dad jokes all week, too, so it's fitting.
And it happens.
Sponsoring this episode of the podcast, Liebherr Mining. When it comes to mining, you need equipment that works as hard as you do, day in and day out. That's why Mining Minds is proud to partner with our good friends, Liebherr Mining. For more than 50 years, Liebherr has been delivering a full line of mining solutions. Ultra-class haul trucks, powerful hydraulic excavators, dozers, and cutting-edge technology systems, all built to maximize productivity, lower operating costs, and keep your people safe. So whether it's moving massive volumes of material, tackling the toughest overburden, or integrating digital fleet management, Liebherr designs each machine with efficiency, durability, and sustainability in mind. That's Liebherr Mining. Click the links on the episode notes to find out more today. But Chrissy, let's talk about you a little bit. Where'd you grow up? Where were you born and raised? Let's talk about that.
Born in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, so an hour away. And then my elementary school years were in Big Fork, Minnesota, which is a little over an hour from here. Really small town, less than 2,000 people. When I was in 7th grade, we moved to the huge town of Virginia, which was shocking to all of us.
Bustling.
To go to such a culture shock. So big.
It wasn't Chisholm?
I know. I'm going to have to talk to my dad about why that decision was made the way
It's
it
the best
was.
place up here. Just so everybody knows.
I heard it was Hibbing, but
Yeah.
The highlights. Yeah. Yeah. So I went to high school, and high school was really easy for me. I did really well. And so I graduated when I was 17. I was really young for my grade. So, when you graduate when you're 17, you really have no idea what you're going to do with your life. And then you're going to college and you're just kind of bouncing around a little bit, trying to figure it out. So I tried a bunch of different majors. I worked at LTV one summer and had a foreman who I think was 75 at the time. And basically all he did was, don't come back here. That was kind of his messaging.
Really?
Stay in school, don't come back. But I never had any intention of working in the mining industry, but I went back to school and I ended up with a bachelor's in community health. And right between my junior and senior years, I was trying to find a job. And my now brother-in-law's dad was a bigwig out here. And he said, oh, I can get you a job. And HR called me and they said, oh, we've got an internship for you. And I'm, okay.
Heck yeah.
And I said, how do I get there?
Where do I go?
And I only lived 5 miles from here. I had no idea how to get here. So I worked as an industrial hygiene intern that summer. So I did noise and dust sampling for every single position out here, which is about the coolest thing you can do because I got to go on shovels and trucks and all over the place.
How were you received on site?
It's really funny because at that time, there hadn't been a lot of hiring for a long time. And there definitely were not a lot of females. But everyone kind of looked at me like I was their daughter, granddaughter. Mm. So they really went out of their way to welcome me, make sure that I had everything that I needed, if I needed any help with anything. So it was really incredible. I was kind of chuckling as Mike was telling the story about the pink envelopes and Ed, because Ed was in facilities engineering and he would stop in my office every day, just checking in, make sure everything's okay. Do you need help? What's going on?
Wow.
So, and people were just amazing.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, and I imagine, similar to Mike, you've had to have some kind of background of hard worker, good person. I mean, even those connections, right? You don't put your name out on the line for somebody unless you really believe in somebody. So you probably created a name for yourself early on, I imagine.
Who was you mentioned your now brother-in-law. Yep. Is the one that recommended you for the job. Mm-hmm. Okay. So maybe that started there. Maybe what did he do?
Well, it's funny because we always say, you guys have seen the Iron Range is it's a small place. It's tight. It's not the Kevin Bacon game. There's maybe 3 degrees of separation.
That's mining too. Yeah.
So, it's just like everyone knows everyone. So when his dad offered the job or pushed for me, it was really just his son saying, hey, she's really smart, motivated. I think she'd do a really good job. And he hadn't really even known me for that long. We were just a couple of kids in college at that time. So he really stuck his neck out for me too.
Well, that just, to me, that just goes to show that if you're in the industry and you are a good person, that your word and your handshake goes a long way. Where I'm sure that put the pressure back on you to go, I need to be everything that I can be because they stuck their neck out for me.
Yeah, it's one thing to get in the door, but once you're in, you've got to stay in, especially as an intern. So I really had to prove myself on what I was doing. And then when I got to the end of the summer, I only had a couple classes left to get my bachelor's. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to live at home and drive to Duluth because I'll save a lot of money. And they offered me to stay on and work during my senior year, which was fantastic. And I shifted over and started doing more environmental work. And then I started kind of ignoring the hygiene work because I really liked the environmental work a lot
Plus,
more.
you didn't have to bug people to put stuff on them all the time.
When you come in with that dust monitor and they're like, please don't put it on me.
No, well, it went in their lunchbox, right?
Exactly. Out the window. Right? Yeah.
That's usually what happens. Can you wear it? You bet. Tossed it in the lunchbox.
Exactly.
I didn't get any good samples out of this one.
Yeah. So I really liked the environmental. I got my bachelor's degree, and then UMD had a master's in environmental health and safety. So I applied for that, and then it's a 1-year program, but it took me 3 years because I worked full time while I was offered a full time position then. here, and then U.S. Steel paid for my master's. So
Very
it was
cool.
great. I got my master's degree debt free. It was really good.
And there's no dates on degrees. I only say that because it took me 14 years to get a 4-year degree.
Yeah.
I was like the Van Wilder. I just liked it a lot.
Yeah. They don't put a range on there. They just put the graduation date. Yeah.
Like, oh, I got to take this one again, huh? So coming into where it sounds like you were pretty welcomed going into the IH side. And I'll just note this, that some of the best IH people are somebody that maybe didn't go to school for that specifically. I've seen a lot of engineers and different people. That's just a side note of mine. It sounds like you came and fit right in though. And then you jumped over to the environmental side. How was it making that transition? Were you as welcomed, coming into that role?
Yeah. And actually one of the people that was in the department when I moved into environmental is still here today.
Oh, cool.
So we've been working together forever, but yeah, we have a really strong relationship with our corporate group too. And, there's always the joke, I'm from corporate, I'm here to help, but they actually are. Like they're really great to work with. It's just a really great group of people. And
I can tell you that that's the feeling from the site right now too. I'm terrible because I forgot the guy his name that took us around, Jason. Jason was saying, he's like, yeah, we're all just people here. Like, it doesn't matter what job I have or, they've got. It's not about the position. It's about how you fit in and keep it rolling. He's like, we don't look at each other as, position.
Yeah, there are no resources. How can we help each other move the needle forward?
So it sounds like the corporate group is pretty much the same way.
Yeah, it's a fantastic group of people. And even when I'm hiring somebody and you're interviewing candidates, I'm looking a lot at personalities and how are they going to fit in and how are they going to integrate into the group, because it's just so important, because we are such a family and you spend so much time with people you work with.
That's interesting you say that. I was reading on that a couple weeks back, and I can't remember exactly who wrote it, but they were talking about interviewing people based more around their morals and values rather than what their resume said. And up here, you can definitely see that would be needed, because it's a family up here. And if we're bringing in somebody, you got to fit right in with brother and sister down the road, Yeah. So that's interesting to hear that's being looked at like that.
Well, I think looking at it to you guys, I mean, I'm not sure. So again, I will say this, and I'm not trying to badmouth where we're from. We got a lot of good stuff there too. But it doesn't seem like a check the box exercise. Yes, you want to make sure they're qualified to do this, but you're diving deeper. At least that's what it sounds like from what you explained.
Yeah, because it is. I mean, it's a small area and we have harsh winters, and you've got to be ready to live here. And if you're a part of a group, it's hard to walk away, even if you have things, because every job has its annoying things that happen. You're never going to find anything that's perfect. But when you find a team that you really are cohesive with and that makes you want to come to work, it's hard to walk away from that. So,
and then I guess I want to dive into the environmental side, because for audience listening, that's a big deal up here. Like, being a part of the environmental group, I mean, you guys take that seriously.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, compliance is critical, and we all live here. No one wants to mess anything up. And if you do have any kind of issue, people feel terrible. They want to get it rectified as fast as they can. You don't want to send dust to your neighbors or anything like that, because you're probably dusting yourself too. I mean, Mike and I probably live closer to here than anybody.
Yeah,
but
good point.
But you did find your way here.
Yes. Yeah. Eventually. Yeah. So it really is. So I've worked when I started, we're kind of structured by media. So I bounced around and worked in all of them. So I did hazardous waste, wetlands, the water side, the air side. And it was really interesting how different they all are and how complex they are. And I think that's why I really liked environmental, because it's very challenging. I mean, you really have to think through things to figure out, well, what does that sentence actually mean? And how does that apply? And how do you make sure that you prove that you're doing that?
Yeah, that's the thing that I was going to ask from is it more around knowing it yourself, or are you preparing to make sure that you're covering every letter of what's in the documents that you have to be, that you're being judged on, basically, or graded on?
Yeah, it's interesting in environmental, because everyone assumes that the big facilities are doing things wrong, but the big facilities are so heavily regulated that, and in anything, safety, electrical, pick your category, that we actually do it really well and we understand the rules really well, but then the rules are always changing.
Sure.
And the interpretations are always changing. So you think you have it, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, I don't know if that's really the way it's being interpreted now. So it's kind of a constant evaluation, and then a lot of communication. We work really closely with all the operators and maintenance teams just to make sure that they understand too.
Well, and I'll relate it maybe to the safety side so we can kind of separate, but I think it fits. Is I was a safety nerd for a lot of years. You read a standard or you read something, and you have to read when it was written, what it was the intent of it, and then how is it being interpreted right now. So there's many different angles that you kind of have to do this. And then on the safety side again, you step back and go, is it, even though we're at the standard morally, is it right? Or is it the safest thing we can do? Right. So then you have to bring yourself out of all that and say, is this the right path forward? So, and maybe it's not 100% that way in the environmental, but it is, I think, similar from how I understand it. And you're constantly trying to juggle all these things and make sure you're making the right decisions.
And then you think you got it. And then you're like, oh, there's 5 different case laws we need to look at now too that apply. So yeah. And we do constantly look at, you think about something, you're like, well, we've been doing it like this for a long time. There's got to be a better way. Is there new technology? Is there new policy procedures, something like that we could be doing or should be doing to make it better?
Do you guys do any information share with any other groups outside of the region? And I've asked the question before on previous podcasts, but Northern Nevada goes through similar stuff, right? We're, as far as like location wise, everybody thinks of Vegas or Reno or the bigger cities, and we're like, hey, we're up here producing 80% of the gold. You guys are up here producing 80% of the iron for the nation. But do you guys have groups that you reach out to like that you can bounce things off of?
We have groups within U.S. Steel that we use a lot. So we just had an air workshop down in Alabama. So all of the air personnel from throughout the company, even from Europe, show up to it and talk about the issues and how we're dealing with them. But we don't really deal with other mining areas. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've gone for some other safety issues and stuff like that. We haven't branched out in environmental, and that's probably a good next step. We were talking about best practices the other day, and I'm like, I wonder if we could benefit just by information share. Not everything's alike, but maybe there's similarities or synergies.
I would imagine you guys would probably be consulting a lot for other mining regions.
Well, that's the other reason I'm like, how do we gain some knowledge?
Well, then the reason I say that is you guys, the level of detail you guys have to have here, I would say far exceeds anything in the Midwest or the further west you go. Because your towns are right here at the mine sites. Whether today we're out there on a blast, and Jason was saying, yeah, every day my house rattles a little bit because of the blast, and it's like
we got you're
living in it, you're breathing it, and at the end of the day, you guys are figuring out how to do the best things possible with people living right here. Yeah. These other mine sites that are an hour and a half away from town, they don't have to be as detailed as what you guys are here, to where I would say you guys are probably leading the pack when it comes to environmental standards and IH, and, not only taking care of your people, but the communities that are right here with you.
Yeah, I would agree.
We started about a year ago, community advisory panels. So we have one for Minntac, one for Keetac, and we meet a couple times a year. And it's a pretty broad brush of elected officials, some business owners, things like that, and Chamber of Commerce, and we just talk about what we're doing. And I try to keep it to 3 topics. So
sure. We'll
go through our 3, but it's just open for them to ask any questions they have, or I always like to hear the rumors, so because the truth is never nearly as exciting as the rumor, but then we can at least give them the actual information so that they can go out and understand. And if people ask them, then they know what's going on. So
yeah, that was one of the first lessons I learned in mining is if you haven't heard a rumor by noon, start one.
That's right. That's right.
I thought it was 9:00.
So you guys are always exceeding standards out here.
Yeah. Noon Eastern. So I do want to ask, you've done your stint in the environmental. What was your favorite and maybe least favorite roles in environmental?
Well, Probably one of my most favorite was we permitted a big expansion over at Keetac. We didn't actually do the project, but it was just so big and so complex, and there were so many moving parts that it was just kind of fun to be a part of. And now I did work on the tubular side for a little bit. I had responsibility for those facilities. That was kind of cool just to see them. But no, probably what I've liked the most is just we've really ramped up our community involvement in the last couple of years, and I've been doing a lot of that. And that's really been rewarding because the community is so happy that we're doing it. And it's nice to hear that feedback that they're so excited that we're out there and we're doing it. And
no pressure. I was, I'm curious. I had, did some cross training in the environmental side, and the RCRA stuff was like not fun at all.
Yeah. No, it's probably when you have a problem and you know that everybody's doing everything they absolutely can to fix it. But there's always that one person that's just like, why don't they just fix it?
Mm.
And you're like, well, give the 5 reasons why and what they did leading up to it. And say, well, why don't they just fix it? Like, if they would have, they could. So
you're really adding to this. Thank you. I appreciate your help.
Exactly.
So I imagine you get to lead a team now?
Yeah, I have a great team. So I have responsibility for both facilities, and we're kind of split up by media so that we're consistent in how we do our programs. So we have a air person, a water person, waste person, and then we were able to add 2 more people recently just to help. Now we have so many strategic projects coming at us, and then a management associate like Mike was talking about earlier. So those are really going to help with what we're working on. And then in my super long wrapping title, I also have responsibility for the tailings facilities, and we're doing a lot of work on those. I'm sure you guys are aware after the disaster in Brazil, kind of the tightening and all the standards and GISTM and all the other acronyms. So we're doing a lot of work to get up to snuff on that and to get under GISTM or at least in compliance with GISTM. So that's been really interesting. And then I also have the real estate person that kind of just looking at leases and property and all that.
Wow. So how involved are you guys? And the reason I ask is because when I think environmental in Nevada, in a lot of cases, they're out trying to get the next permit. It seems like that's a big deal on the environmental side. Do you guys do a lot of that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we, Keetac has a fabulous mine life because of that project I talked about when we didn't restart an old mine. The mine life there is great. So we haven't had to focus as much there, but at Minntac we have. So we're kind of looking at prioritizing our next kind of areas that we're looking at, but it's a process. So, a lot of our leases are through the state. So you have to negotiate the leases, and then you go to the executive council, which is the governor, lieutenant governor, a couple others and they have to approve it. And then you have to wait for that. And then you can go drill, and then you can get all the information. Then it's environmental review and permitting. And so it's a long process, but we start early to make sure that we still have a healthy mine life and lots of areas for the guys to go into and mine along the way. What? And I always tell people I have a daughter that's going to be a senior in high school and twins that are going to be 10th graders. So I need to work for a while. So
we didn't even ask about that. We need to step back and ask. So family life, you said a daughter, your twins, are they boys, girls?
One of each.
Okay. So you got and they're going to be in 10th grade sophomores?
Yep.
So you're a busy mom outside of this too.
Yes.
Any curricular activities that they do? Are they following mom and graduating early?
No, let's see. The senior is a swimmer, cross-country skier. And then the other 2, golf, softball, and hockey, which never ends.
Yeah. So you're busy.
Yeah.
Well, nice. I'm going to ask Dino's question, his famous. So, 2 things. I'm going to step back, and I'll have to edit some of this out. But I want to point that a lot of times we don't understand. I guess when I was in the operations group or in different groups, I didn't understand what Mike's role was or what your roles were. They're pretty important roles. And when you talk about the future of mine or improving the mines, we need people like you guys to be there doing what you're doing. in order for this to continue forward. So I guess there's a lot of work on the back end that a lot of people don't get to see. So I'm glad we get to highlight it. We get to talk about it a little bit because I think that's important. And then the second question is usually Dino's question is, and I've asked Mike already, but what does future of mining look like? Maybe specifically to the environmental side.
I think that the innovation that's out there and that's going to be needed, because when you look at 20 years ago, regulations came out and it would say, you need X technology. It is applied at this facility, and based on that installation, here's what the limit or here's what the emissions are. So you need to meet that. Now regulations come out and they're like, here's your limit. Go figure out how to meet it.
Yeah.
So it's very different, and it requires a lot of different thinking to get there. We actually just did a crowdsourcing challenge that ends tomorrow. So we're picking the winners right now, because we have a water quality issue, and we kept looking at it and going, there's got to be a better way. Maybe we're missing something. So we went to Wazoku, who is now Innocentive, and did a crowdsourcing challenge. And it was really interesting. We had worldwide interest in it and 118 solutions that were developed and submitted. So then it was a lot of work to go through those and try to figure out which ones were valid and which ones we could maybe take a look at.
I love that idea. I love that you guys went, hey, we've kind of pounded our heads here, and yes, we've got some ideas, but let's reach out. Let's use modern technology to see who's out there that maybe can help us solve the problems.
That kind of reminds me of Torkin a little bit.
It absolutely does.
So we podcasted with a group out of Australia. The name of the company is Torkin, and it's a social media website for equipment, for maintenance personnel. Instead of following people, they follow pieces of equipment, like your 2800s out here, right? They'd download the social media app, follow the 2800 P&H shovels, and they could use that resource. And the resource is any mechanic from across the world can help troubleshoot some issues on the piece of equipment. So
it's
very similar. Yeah.
Yeah. That's super smart ideas. And so I got to ask a little bit more about it, maybe. So if other people can you explain a little bit more about how that's going? I know you're kind of in the final stages, and I don't know that you can give away too much information. But what does that look like? I mean, out of that 118 submissions, is there 2 that were good? Is there 10?
We narrowed it down to 4.
Okay.
That one, because you say you're going to give a certain amount of prize money, and you can split that up. However, you have to have at least one winner, but you can have as many as you want. So we had a short list of 11 that we took a harder look at, and really 4 of them we thought had some merit. And now they're still fairly conceptual. We need to look into them further, but they were, it's nothing that we've tried or was on our radar. So.
So brand new. It wasn't even a fraction maybe of what you guys were thinking of doing. And so you got completely new ideas.
Yep.
That is super cool. I don't know. I think that's a good example of what we can do going forward in the future.
Well, it's innovative, man. I mean, you're utilizing the resources, but they're also getting whoever potentially wins gets a benefit as well.
Yeah. And it was really interesting because it was one of the guys that works for me, and he hasn't been here that long, but you met Nate, but he came in my office one day. He's like, have you heard about crowdsourcing? And I'm like, no, but I can Google it. Tell me why I should care. And again, it's something that, I can't imagine us doing this maybe 5-10 years ago, because you're telling the world we have a problem. We're not quite sure how to fix it.
Well, I don't know. I guess I would say a genius way to look at it, though, is like, hey, let's try this out. Why wouldn't we? Because we are really good at continuing to do what we've always done and trying to resource from within our groups and work hours and hours and hours to try doing the same thing, and kind of being a little crazy about it. And Nate's the guy that we met in there, right?
Yeah. Yep. Russ's kid, I think.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So I worked with his dad. So
yeah, that's what he said. They're from Nevada. I bet they know my dad.
Yeah. But good on you guys too, because again, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, there's still companies out there that won't take that opportunity. They won't look outside the box like that. I think it's important for people, especially listeners, to know that there's companies out there that are actually going, hey, we're going to look outside the box on this one. And you got to ask, is there any that you got back that you were like, Oh my God, I can't believe they suggested that.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we hit those
That was Grover's.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they did warn us. They, when we first did it, and they said, the ones that come in really fast, probably not going to be that great. And, they gave us a good chuckle. It was.
So as I'm thinking about this, have you ever used AI to solve any problems?
No, but I had someone try to give me an AI answer recently, and I'm like, no, we critically think here.
Yes.
That's a good starting
Yeah.
point.
Nice.
Yep.
But now you got to go from there. And then even with crowdsourcing, they ran it through AI to make sure that nothing was just AI generated.
Well, I think opening up a box of crowdsurfing, not only does it show that you're thinking outside the box, but it also gives Kristen, like, we're resourcing anything and everything we can to figure out the problem. Because I think when you get to the permitting stages, a lot of times I think that's questioned. And unless you can let these guys know and educate them that, listen, we've ran through the gamut on everything, and now we're to this stage, they don't get a full understanding of what they're maybe saying no to, So.
Well, and I do got to ask both of you guys, chasing kids is one thing, outside of this.
You can edit this out, but I got to run.
Okay.
But if you need me to come back, I can.
No, that'll work.
Let's say goodbye.
Yeah, we'll wrap up. Chrissy, just want to say thank you for sitting down with us. Hopefully it wasn't too difficult, but
No,
but I do appreciate your time. I know you got to run. Maybe we'll just a couple more minutes to wrap it up with you, Mike, and go from there. But thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Mike, outside of work, outside of chasing kids, what do you enjoy?
Well, everything outdoors, pretty much. I guess my favorite thing to do is probably go snowmobiling. Don't get to do a lot of that, but now that my kids are a little older and I bought them both snowmobiles, hopefully in between basketball games we'll get a chance to do some more of that. I spend a lot of my time fishing, both winter and summer. So that's a great thing. I like golfing. I went golfing 2 nights ago, probably the third time only this year. My kids get to see, they do it every day. I'm very jealous. They want to play with me now because I know they can beat me already, even though they're younger one's 13. Exactly. What else? Hunting. Yeah, all outdoor stuff. Hunting, fishing, golfing, snowmobiling.
Very cool. Dean, and I know it's getting, I was just looking at the time too, so I want to say I appreciate your time. Really, I was going to ask when Chrissy was here, but do you guys work together pretty closely? I imagine that what you do might affect what they have going on, or vice versa. Is that pretty accurate? Yeah,
I mean, Chrissy and I have very similar starts in U.S. Steel as interns and MAs and such, and I've known her forever. In fact, in 2002, we went to what was called New Managers Training in Pittsburgh together for a week. So I've known Chrissy forever, and you heard me explain all my different roles. And environmental touches everyone, no matter what. If you're a shift manager and you got any kind of environmental issue, you have to deal with Chrissy's group, or even as an area manager or someone with a project, it might require permitting. So you're dealing with Chrissy. So I've worked with Chrissy for well over 20 years.
Very cool.
Amazing. I bet you didn't feel like that.
And we live on the same street.
Really?
She know right where to egg.
Yeah.
Either that, the kids know each other. So that's even, so that, to me, that just, that's a great segue for the end, is that the history up here runs deep. You've been hanging with her for 20 years, and now the kids are right down the street from each other. That's legacy.
Yeah.
And then the kids potentially are going to be in the industry to where they're going to be able to learn from you guys, get best practices, and continue the industry and legacy up here for years to come.
Any encouragement to get your kids in the industry, or any excitement on their end?
I don't know. They're probably still a little young at 13 and 15 to really know. Right now, I think they both figure they'll be professional athletes.
Yes.
I'm trying to tell them,
we all did, right?
That's great, but a backup plan, something we might want to talk about, like maybe you should get your math homework done.
Well, and the last thing I guess I want to say is that, we do have people that listen. What are there opportunities to work up here? Is there, what I mean? Maybe walk us through U.S. Steel and why people should pay attention to what you guys are doing.
Well, I think you heard it, right? We're always working at getting better, continuous improvement. It's in our blood. And being everything to this region. I mean, we feel like this huge obligation to stay in business and be competitive on the global market. And everyone is working really hard here. It's great. Chrissy talked about a little bit how we spend a lot of time together, and a lot of us do at work, and we also do when we're outside of here. I mean, I just spent 8 days on a fishing trip with a coworker, and it's just great. It's great to be here. We have great people here, and I would encourage people to go to ussteel.com and check out what career opportunities there are. This place is massive. Keetac's massive. We have everything you can imagine. Not everybody's got a pick and a shovel, right? There are very technical people, and there are people who do amazing things every single day. So, check out what we have to offer here. It's awesome place to work.
Yeah, I would agree. It's very exciting up here. Dean, before we get out of here, anything?
I just want to say thank you for your time, Mike. We appreciate it. You got the noon call, and we appreciate you taking your time. Don't forget, we got some stuff for you as well before you head out.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to say thank you to you, US Steel. Kristen, I know you're sitting there. Thank you guys very much. This has been awesome for you guys to open your door. And what I will say is, if you don't know, go and check these guys out, man. A lot of cool stuff going on. A lot of cool people up here. So you can check us out at miningmindsllc.com. We are on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X, MySpace.
Ooh, you're dating yourself there.
Yes, he is. All right, guys. Adios.
Peace.
Thanks for listening in to this episode of the podcast, guys. We enjoyed the hell out of this. Great opportunity to go and check out a site, meet some fantastic people. What'd you think, Dean?
Not just a site, man. We went to US Steel. It was an amazing day. We had a blast. Just touring the pit. We watched a blast. We got to see how, there was no pun intended there.
I was going to say,
but I mean, we got to, they gave us the presidential treatment, and I learned a lot. And then when we sat down with Mike and Chrissy, you could see that everything that was in the field transitions into the management group. Visiting with Mike, it was, they seen something in him, and they kept moving him around, whether it was from site to site or department to department. But the overall feeling that I got from that was, during Mike's story, he started to understand that how much the people in town were relying on the project that he was working on. I mean, he had people stopping him in the grocery store, asking him how the pellet project was. And so I thought that was pretty cool to show, not only at site is everybody in key or in tune with each other, but even in town, people are paying attention to, they understand what is going to affect their industry. And it was super cool.
I just think it says something for the young kids out there that go, I want to be a part of something bigger. That's the type of people those are the types of opportunities that come into the industry. And if you're a good person like Mike, you have those opportunities to be part of those teams. Chrissy was awesome too. I really enjoyed sitting down, and really she said she didn't want to be in mining, but to see her on the environmental side, two things that stuck out to me in this podcast, and I know you guys just listened in, but their corporate team working with their site teams. A lot of times, or many times, you can see that going sideways. Corporate's got one agenda, the site has another. These guys sound like they work well together. The other thing that I think that people should take away from this podcast, in my opinion, is not only thinking outside the box on getting the new pellets, but these guys are crowdsourcing solutions. I thought that was a phenomenal thought process, a phenomenal just foresight to go, we have a problem. Why don't we throw something out there that's different?
Yeah, to everybody. I mean, there's somebody out there that might have a great idea. And but I do think this goes back to, we keep ourselves hidden enough to where we're just going to figure it out, right, as an industry. But to see them taking that step forward hopefully inspires other companies to do the same.
Absolutely, man. Before we wrap this up, I do want to say thank you to Jason and Kristen, who toured us around, put up with us, the guys in the mill, and it was a phenomenal experience. So can't thank you guys enough. What a cool experience. If you guys don't know about these guys, US Steel, Minntac, check them out. Check us out. Every like, repost, swipe right, comment always helps us. And if you guys are out there pounding roads, driving drifts, or pushing throughput, stay safe.
Yeah. I woke up feeling good today. I ain't letting anything mess up my mood, no way. I got that feeling everything is gonna be okay. Cause I'm in the driver's seat and I control my fate. I ain't no victim of my circumstance. It's up to me to figure out how I'ma play my hand. And I'ma handle what I have to, that's the way I am. You can't be running from your problems, this I understand. So I be vibing in the zone. I'm living in the moment. I follow with my heart, make sure I listen to the omens. Today I'm feeling blessed, no I'm no longer feeling hopeless. I'm grateful and I'm focusing, yes I'ma keep it going. I got that feeling in my chest and I feel it in my bones and I feel it in my heart, yes I feel it in my soul and I'm feeling so good, yes the vibe is going on. I'll make sure that I keep it going strong, cause I've been feeling good today in a major way. I got a feeling everything is gonna be okay. All the stress and the pain, I let it fade away. Like I'm walking on the clouds with the birds and planes. I'm in a G-O-O-D, M-O-O-D. I'm feeling good, baby. I'm in a G-O-O-D, M-O-O-D. I'm feeling good, baby. Everywhere I walk, I got a little extra pep. I'm enjoying life with every single little step. With a smile up on my face, grateful for every breath. I'm grateful just to be alive, oh yes, I'm feeling blessed. They say your attitude will determine your altitude. Today my spirit's so uplifted like I'm on the moon. And it don't matter if somebody's coming at me rude. It can't affect me cause my heart is filled with gratitude. There ain't a thing they could say, ain't a thing they could do. I keep doing my thing, they can't mess with my mood. I keep my head up, but yes I stay on the move. Today I got my confidence, I'm feeling so smooth. Got that feeling in my chest and I feel it in my bones and I feel it in my heart, yes I feel it in my soul and I'm feeling so good, yes the vibe is going on. I'll make sure that I keep it going strong, cause I've been feeling good today in a major way. I got a feeling everything is gonna be okay. All the stress and the pain, I let it fade away. Like I'm walking on the clouds with the birds and planes. I'm in a G-O-O-D, M-O-O-D. I'm feeling good, baby. I'm in a G-O-O-D, M-O-O-D. I'm feeling good, baby. Cool as the breeze, smooth as could be. Groove in the beat, I'm just doing my thing. I feel the good vibes, enjoy the good times. Spread that love, we all wanna live a good life. Enjoy the sunshine, baby, cause it shines bright. And keep it positive, that's how you get your mind right. See, feeling good, this is exactly what it looks like. There ain't a doubt in my mind, I'm gonna fly high. Cause everything I do it to the best of my ability. I give it everything I got, increase my possibilities. You get what you put out, so I'ma keep the positivity. You give the world my love, this song is a special delivery. I feel it in my chest and I feel it in my bones and I feel it in my heart, yes I feel it in my soul and I'm feeling so good, yes the vibe is going on. I'll make sure that I keep it going strong, cause I've been feeling good today in a major way. I got a feeling everything is gonna be okay. All the stress and the pain, I let it fade away. Like I'm walking on the clouds with the birds and planes. I'm in a G-O-O-D, M-O-O-D. I'm feeling good, baby. I'm in a G-O-O-D,